Roberto and I went back to the tent. We did not say a word to each other, but each of us knew what the other was thinking. We knelt side by side on the mattress in front of the Virgin of Guadalupe and prayed silently. I was worried and irritated by the time Mama returned. It was around 11. "Where were you?" I asked angrily. "I want to go see Torito." "Only if God wills it," she said sadly, putting her arms around Roberto and me. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Torito is very sick," she replied. "He is a rare disease that may be catching. That's why I can't let you see him." "But you went to see him this morning, didn't you?" I responded, raising my voice. "That's why you took so long, right?" "See me, hijo," she answered, "but they won't let children in to see him. You can see him when he returns home." "When is that?" Roberto and I asked at the same time. "Soon, probably," she answered hesitantly. I had a feeling Mama was not telling us everything she knew. After preparing supper, Mama went to pick up Papa from work. When they got home, Papa looked super upset and anxious. I waited for them to talk about Torito, but they did not say a word about him, and as soon as dinner was finished, they left for the hospital. After Roberto and I cleaned the dishes, I went outside behind our tent and prayed on my knees again, but only for a little while. I hurried inside when I saw Doña Maria chanting next door. When Papa and Mama returned from the hospital, Mama's arms were empty. Roberto and I looked at each other in disappointment. "Torito is a little bit better, but we can't bring him home until tomorrow," she said, teary-eyed and with a faint smile. Then she took a deep breath, looking at Roberto. Trompita and me continued. "We have to pray to Santo Niño de Rocha because—" "Yes," Papa interrupted, taking out his wallet and pulling out a tattered holy card. "Your Mama and I have made a promise to El Santo Niño." Then, holding the card in the palm of his right hand and looking at it, he continued, "We'll pray for him every day for a whole year if Torito gets well." Papa then took a pin from a small tin box that Mama kept her sewing things in and pinned the card to the canvas wall above the mattress next to the picture of the Virgin of Guadalupe. On the holy card was a picture of the little Jesus of Atacha sitting on a high wooden chair. He wore sandals, a blue coat, a short brown cape, and a brimmed hat to match. In his right hand he carried a basket, in his left hand a wooden staff. We all knelt in front of Santa Nina to pray. Mama always prayed for him whenever one of us is sick because what she said to the Holy Child, Jesus, took care of the poor and sick people, especially children. The late hour and the repetition of prayers made me sleepy. That night I dreamed of Santo Niño de Atocha. I was behind our tent praying on my knees in front of the baby Jesus card. Suddenly, El Santo Niño came alive. He stood up from the chair and floated in the ark, carrying the basket. He glided to where I was and picked up the glass basket at my feet and pointed to it. Out of our basket emerged 100 of tiny white butterflies. They formed themselves into a pair of wings, lifting me and carrying me back to Tent City and setting me down next to my Torito, who lay in the middle of a lush green alfalfa field. In the dream, I awoke and was looked at a prayer card. Torito was in it, sitting in the highest chair, dressed as El Santo Niño de Atocha. The next morning, when I told Mama about my dream, she decided to make Torito an outfit, just like the one El Santo Niño de Atocha was wearing in the picture prayer card. Instead of taking a nap after she made the lunches, she started sewing a cloak of fabric from one of her blue dresses. She finished it that evening just in time to go get Torito from the hospital. Late that night, when Mama and Papa returned with Torito from the hospital, he was wearing the blue cloak Mama had given to him. But he did not look like Santo Niño on the other end. El Torito was pale, and Jimmy was pale and skinny. He moaned when I tickled him. Mama, is Torito still sick? See me, hijo, she responded. That's why we have to keep on moving and praying. But didn't the doctor take care of him? Mama turned her back to me and did not respond. I looked at Papa, who was pacing up and down, swinging his hands. After a long moment of silence, he said, remember, we always have to keep our promise and say no to El Santo de Arroyo every day, every year. That night and every night for an entire year, we pray to Santo Niño de Atocha, and we follow the corpse, bringing him from place to place. During that time, that night for an entire year, and every night for an entire year, we prayed to El Santo Niño de Atocha as we followed the crops from place to place. During that time, Mama dressed Torito in the blue coat and only took it off when he needed to be washed. On August 17th, the day after we completed the promise to El Santo Niño, we all gathered around Torito, who sat on Mama's lap. His chubby rosy cheeks made him look like a cherub. I have something to tell you, Mama said, teary-eyed, as she took off the cloak. When we took Torito to the hospital, the doctor said my son would die because we had waited too long to bring him there. He said it would take a miracle for him to live. I did not want to believe this, she said, continuing grinning as she talked. But he was right. It took a miracle.